This is Pam Smith with Farm Journal Magazine, and I'm out with Aaron Hager, University of Illinois weed specialist, and we're in a soybean field in Macon County. We're looking at some weeds and specifically water hemp. Aaron, what are you finding?
Well, we noticed this particular small patch in this field and just came out to take a look at it to see what exactly might have occurred here to allow these plants to actually survive. A couple of possible scenarios. One, they simply could have been missed during the application of a post-treatment. We assume it's glyphosate here. Or number two, this could be the beginning of a problem with a glyphosate-resistant population. Typically, it's not uncommon to see infestations begin on margins or field entry points, of which this one seems like a very logical point of entry into this particular field. Some of these plants that survive this may have been brought into the field already resistant from another location, either on tillage type of equipment or application equipment, for example. And it could simply be this is where from this particular point on, this population, this particular biotype may spread throughout the rest of the field.
And water hemp is not unusual in Illinois anymore, is it?
Oh, it's very, very common. Matter of fact, through most of the southern two-thirds of the state, it's probably the most common amaranthus species that we see within cornfields or soybean fields. Matter of fact, you almost have to look very carefully to see fields that are infested with either smooth pigweed or red root pigweed. It certainly doesn't take a great deal of effort to find fields that are actually overrun, infested with water hemp.
And what would a farmer think about doing if he saw evidence of water hemp just like this on the edge of a field, or what should he think about for next year?
Yeah, a very small patch like this, the best way to handle this would be simply to come and cut these out by hand with a hoe, a weed hook, not allow these particular plants, if they are, say, hypothetically, if they are actually resistant to glyphosate, the last thing that a farmer would want to happen with these plants is to allow them to cross and make seed for the next generation of resistant plants. So anything that you can do at this particular point when you've got a very, very small patch like this to manage it, to get rid of it before the seeds are actually formed on the female plant, could pay you dividends for many, many years to come.
And when we say resistant, what chemicals are we seeing are water hemp resistant to?
Well, we find resistance to various classes of different herbicides, at least 4 different classes that we know of. Water hemp can be resistant to. It can be resistant to triazine materials such as atrazine, ALS inhibitors. It can also be resistant to PPO inhibitors, for example, a diphenyl ethers that farmers could use in a soybean field like this to control this population after it emerges. And then finally, resistant to glyphosate. And we can find combinations of these types of resistances across the state in different fields and different populations. Most of the water hemp we already assume is resistant to ALS, but we also find populations that may be resistant to another family or 2-way resistant, some that may actually be 3-way resistant. And we've got one particular population now we work with that does appear to be resistant to all 4 different families in one particular plant.
Okay, thanks, Aaron.